Hi, everyone. It's Daniel and Samantha again, talking about channeling with yet another video. We wanted to continue the conversation on channeling and what typically happens to the new channeler, because, of course, it is a strange and wonderful experience, depending on what you believe and what your experience is to start channeling. I know you had a very nice experience early on with it, and it's always been nice for you.
I yeah, I got really lucky. It literally was just I feel for me, and I don't know whether this is just because I've been a meditator ever since I was a child or just like decades. I don't know. It was the most natural thing in the world. There was no sort of dark night of the soul. It was just it was just like it was like it was always meant to be. Like it was like the most natural thing in the world, the channeling. Yes, for some people, you've got to go through the months of meditation, but you realize it's really there for everybody. And now, and I did mention this in one of my previous videos that we did, that I get to a stage now where I'm actually doing the healing sessions, and I'm literally, once I get into the heart space of like when I'm with a client, I'm literally bawling in tears, but it's just overwhelming love. Like it's just love that I have never experienced. And now it's my telltale sign because Saint Germain wants to come in. And that is the most magical thing about my healing sessions. I know beforehand when he's going to come in. It's not like I'm asking him. He's like he's there, ready. And the minute my heart opens, like I have never felt love like that. And I'm just crying, and I don't know what starts it. It's just his like calling card, like he wants to come through, and then he'll start talking. But that is so special. That has been like the most incredible thing for me, um with Saint Germain. And I'm not even saying it's my channeling session, because it's not even a channeling session, it's just now integrating with the healing session. So that has been so lovely. Like it's like, oh, I know he's coming, because my heart just opens, and then you're crying out of just, it's just so much love. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's so nice to hear you reporting that it's been such a lovely experience for you. And for a lot of people, because now I've been teaching it since 2013, so I've experienced a lot of the same feedback from people, the same kinds of experiences that I had early on, which is the first thing a person does with their own channeling is doubt it. They doubt that it's real. Um, a lot of people will start out channeling light language first, and then but they don't even think of that as channeling. They're like, okay, I'm speaking light language, but of course it's channeling, because all channeling is you getting energy, running it through you, and then presenting it in some way. Usually, I mean, for some people it remains like a completely internal experience, but usually in channeling there's a transmitting of it in some way out into the world. So a lot of people, I mean, lots of people these days are speaking light language first, and then they will eventually be speaking in English or Spanish or Japanese or whatever their native tongue is. They're going to channel in. So that's a very common thing to happen at first as well. A lot of people, their criticism of their own channeling will be, well, it sounds a lot like Abraham, or it sounds a lot like Paul Selig, or whoever they've been following for a long time, which it will, just because that's the language you've been exposed to and you associate with. So, of course, you're probably not going to suddenly come up with a whole new lexicon, a vernacular that's very unique to you, especially early on, because early on you're taking the ingredients you're being given, which are the energy downloads that come in through the brain, and you're making of that what you can. So analogy that just came to me is like, if you're new to cooking and you go in the kitchen and you say, well, it's easy to combine flour, sugar, eggs, and make something. And it may be rather basic and not the elaborate thing you see on these baking shows on TV, but it's a start. And so when you start channeling, you tend to it tends to be very flowery, very non-specific, and sounding very derivative of what other people have said. But again, that's just normal. And it's just like you're riding your bike with the training wheels on. Eventually, you'll get them off and you'll graduate to a bigger bike and a faster bike, and maybe even do extreme downhill, mountain biking. Who knows? But you are where you are when you start, and you definitely have to make peace with that and just go, you know what, it's fine. It's something. I've crossed this non-speaking speaking threshold, which is important. And the worst thing we can do is just be hard on ourselves and say, well, I can't prove that any of this is true, so why would I keep going with it? Or administer a bunch of tests on yourself to make sure it's true. I've just found, so glad I found the Seth material is finally available on Audible. So I bought it right away as soon as I saw it, and I've been listening to it, and it just details Seth and Jane and Rob's early experiences. And those two, Jane and Rob, had so much doubt of what was happening, and that this was even something that existed apart from Jane, even though apparently he gave them a name of someone that he was in his past life, and it was someone they could look up. So it's so typical to think that you're not doing it when you are doing it. And so everyone that starts doing it really needs to encourage themselves, or hopefully get encouragement from someone outside of themselves that's going to keep them sitting and doing it, because the only way you're going to get better at it is practice. Just like anything else in life, it's not that different from anything else, where you're better at the violin the 1,000th time you pick it up than you are the first time you pick it up.
I really agree with that. I made a point a couple of months into the healing session, and I promised myself that I would never doubt what I was hearing. I would never do that, because there was a part of me that just was told that, this is a personal message. This is not what I'm told to give this message to everybody, but I heard the voice, what if you don't, then we'll just go to somebody else that will trust us if you don't. So from that moment, I just said, no, I'm whatever comes through, however, may not be for that person to hear, I'm going to just trust, and I'm going to say whatever. I'm going to trust 100%. And I've got to a stage now where I've really sort of gone past the doubting part, and I will now ask the client, is there anything that they want to ask? Whereas before, I'd want to be in control, because I would think then I know what to say. But then you realize, well, then who's actually doing the channeling? Is it me or something else? But the moment I just say to the client, do you want to ask anything? It's like I'm completely out the way. I'm taking no responsibility for this, and I'll let the channeler do whoever the being come through and say whatever they want. So I found those two things really work for me, just never doubting and just speaking that truth. It took a long time to get to that place, but now it's like I don't, it's like I have to trust, and I'll let whatever come through. And like you said, totally take off the responsibility and ask the client, is there anything that they want to ask, as opposed to just controlling the whole healing and channeling session. Because then what are you learning, or what do you really, how much are you letting go, and then letting the beings do what their what their job is.
Yeah, we have to surrender. We have to trust and have faith and surrender and all those things that we hear over and over in the New Age. But it's true. In order for it to evolve, you have to keep taking that next step and that next step. And in my experience, people do start out when they're channeling doing a lot of hesitating. There's a lot of umming and awing and it's not smooth and polished. And like I said, it's generally not very specific, and definitely not talking a lot about world events and things of that nature. But that's what that person needs. A lot of times too, when a person starts channeling, it's all for them. They'll channel messages for themselves, and it will be all encouragement, just encouraging them to keep going and to believe that this is real. Now, when I started out, I would only channel for other people, so I didn't really get that. But what I did get, which was so great, was people gave me their positive feedback, and then I was like, okay, I guess I should keep doing this then if they're really enjoying it this much.
I think what I mean, I was so lucky to have you as a teacher and a mentor, as opposed to learning it some other way where you just don't have that one-to-one. I mean, I was so lucky and privileged. It took me a long time to even pluck up the courage to ask you because I didn't think it was a possibility. But me just having the courage to ask you, Daniel, do you think we can like do a channeling session in one of our learning sessions just to see that I'm on the right track? And you were so kind and gracious to let me do that whenever I wanted to, which was such a great help because then we'll be channeling like Saint Germain or whatever, and he would be saying, "No, you're on the right track. We're here to encourage you. We're excited that you've taken up this role," and that really helped me. That was just it's like having another teacher there. It was just great. Somebody spurring you on from the realms up there. So that for me, I feel very blessed. I feel very spoiled getting to do the one-on-one with you because I just think it's taken it to a whole new level. I think I can ask you anything, and I think having you and having all the collectives there, like as your mentors, as your teacher, having this one-on-one like tuition, I think that really cemented and really helped me. Everyone's individual, but I just think as an individual, it gave me the confidence and the trust to know, oh no, you can do this because you've had the confirmation, so I love that.
And everyone should try it by themselves and with other people, and all the different ways that you can, having a question, not having a question, because there will be a way probably that will work best for you, and you may have to find it, but you definitely don't have to think in terms of like, well, that's how it happened for this person, so it has to happen that way for me, because everyone's story is a little bit different. But there are those similarities that I just wanted to point out in case anyone is new to channeling and they're wondering, like, is it just me? It's not just you. So many people have experienced the weirdness of it and the feelings about it that most people have, because most of us are not supremely confident to that extent where we go, well, everything I do is just brilliant, so of course my channeling is going to be as well. And we tend to be more critical of ourselves, and so then we take that and we shine that same spotlight on our channeling, and that's why we benefit so much by doing it for others.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna end on this note, but all I'm saying, the more I trusted myself, the more I felt empowered, and then the more encouragement and help I got from the beings and collectives. And it's really, you've just at some point you've just got to let go, trust. And really that's the magic. The magic starts then, and it has for me. So Daniel, I love working with you. I really thank you for doing this, and appreciate you. Thank you, Daniel. Cheers.
Welcome. Namaste.